Okay. So as I said, let's have a quick look about short stories. Can you give me can you read the first paragraph, please?
Yes. A short story, also known as novelty, is based of prose fiction that can typically be read in a single sitting and focuses on a self-contained incident or series of linked incidents with the intent of evoking a single effect or mood. The short story is one of the oldest types of literature.
TU pronounced like literature. Yes, exactly.
And has excited in the form of lignite mythic tales, folk tales, fire tales, tall tales, fables, and
anecdotes
in various ancient communities around the world. The modern short story developed in the early 19th century.
There we go. So this one was a quick definition about short story and a little bit about the history of short story. A short story, also known as novella, is like an old name. هذا اسم قديم من الإغريق وكمان يعني اليوناني وفرنسي في نفس الوقت. اسم الشورت ستوري is a piece of prose fiction، يعني جزء من نوع من الفيكشن أو الخيال. So that can typically be read in a single setting. يعني قصة قصيرة ممكن تقرأها في جلسة واحدة، ممكن نص ساعة أو هيك، ربع ساعة نص ساعة تقرأها خلصها. short story قصة قصيرة and focuses on self-contained incident or series of linked incidents. يعني بتكون يعني مركزة هذه القصة ممكن على حدث واحد أو أحداث متعددة لكن مترابطة مع بعض لأنه قصة قصيرة جدا. So we tend to evoke in a single effect or mood. So في الأخير بيكون هذا short stories دائما بيكون عندها always has a purpose. يعني عندها في آخر لما تخلص الحصة تخلص القصة فبيكون message، أوكي، إما message أو you feel something، تعطيك تغير المود تبعك، إما بتكون very happy very sad excited، أوكي، على حسب نوع القصة. So the short story is one of the oldest type of literature. يعني الشورت ستوري كان من أقدم أنواع الأدب قديم، يعني كانت القصة القصيرة. And there's many types. Okay, from legends, mythical tales, folk tales. يعني هذه الأمور مثل legends يعني في كل الثقافات بيكون عندهم قصص، ممكن عن الأشباح، عن كائنات عجيبة، قصص من الثقافات متعددة. كل دولة بيكون عندها ثقافات متعددة، فأغلب هذه القصص بتكون مشتقة من هذه الثقافات. The folk tales, fairy tales, tall tales, fables, anecdotes, all these are all types of short stories. كل هذا يعني أنواع short stories. So various ancient communities، يعني بتكون من القصص مأخوذة من مجتمعات يعني قديمة. So the modern short story developed in early 19th century. وهذا القصص يعني القصة الجديدة المودرن أو القصة القصيرة الحديثة developed يعني تطورت in the 19th century في القرن الماضي، القرن التاسع عشر. So now we're going to have a quick look at the literal definition of short story. Can you please read the definition?
Yes. Definition The short story is crafted from in its one right. Short stories make us of plot, resonance, and other dynamic compounds as in a novel, but typical to lesser degree, while the short story is largely distinct from the novel or novella, short novel. Others generally draw from a common pool of
Good. So the short story is crafted from in its own okay, the short story is a crafted form on its own right. So this one short story هو نوع مختلف تماما عن القصص الثانية. So the first thing is to notice about short stories, it's short. يعني مثل باختلاف النوفل أو الروايات الروايات بتكون شوية أطول من الحجم، بيكون فيها الشورت ستوري بيكون الصفحات بتكون أقل. شورت ستوريز ممكن تكون من 30 صفحة 40 صفحة 50 صفحة، لكن النوفلز بتكون أكثر من 150 200. في بعض النوفلز بتكون في أكثر more pages. The short stories makes use of a plot, resonance, and other dynamic components. So these are elements of story. يعني عناصر القصة بيكون عندنا plot, resonance، بيكون عندنا setting, characters. All of these are elements. عناصر القصة لازم يكون عناصر القصة. Well, the good thing about these elements بيكونوا في جميع أنواع القصص. For example, we have the characters, setting, plot. هذا I will explain one by one. راح أشرحهم كل واحدة على حدة إن شاء الله. هذا بيكون في جميع أنواع القصص، بيكون في الشورت ستوري، في النوفل، نوفيلا، كلهم بيكون داخل فيهم. راح نشرحهم one by one. Okay? So for example, we have the novel or the novella. Novel in general it means story، لكن أطول من short story. So the author generally draw from a common pool of literature techniques. So literary techniques يعني هذا الأمور اللي تستخدمها في الأدب. فهذه الأمور كل تقريبا القصص أو الكتابات تشترك في العناصر اللي منها characters، البلوت، الريزونانس، هذا كلهم تشترك فيها. إن شاء الله راح نشرح كل عنصر لحاله. So let's start with the first one. Short story. So brief fictional prose narrative that is shorter than a novel and that is usually deals with only a few characters. So short story، الفرق الموجود ما بين short story والنوفل إن النوفل الرواية بيكون فيها characters أو شخصيات أكبر. أوكي، شخصيات أكثر، العدد بيكون كثير. لكن الشورت ستوري in general بيكون عدد الشخصيات أقل، لأنها بتكون short story قصيرة جدا. فهذا الاختلاف الأول ما بين short story and a novel. Okay? So if you at any moment if you don't understand something or you have a question, please stop me and ask. Okay? تمام. So as I said, short story هو brief fictional prose، يعني قصير أو ملخص. أوكي، يعني قصة ملخصة. Okay, shorter than a novel.
Shorter than novel.
Yes, exactly. And it usually deals with only few characters. يعني بعض الشخصيات. So the short story is usually concerned with a single effect conveyed in only one or a few significant episodes of scenes. Scenes يعني المشاهد. For example, يعني هنا بيقول لك the whole story, the events of the story happens only in a few scenes. What do we mean by scenes? يعني مشاهد. For example, yes, exactly. For example, we're talking about Tom and Jerry, let's say, like a cat chasing a mouse, for example. So maybe it's going to use maybe 3 or 4 scenes. Okay, maybe the cat is chasing the mouse in the kitchen. Then after that, something happened maybe in the living room. Then they go up to the roof, or maybe outside in the garden. Okay, the whole story القصة كلها بيكون 3 or 4 scenes. Okay, or someone who is traveling, for example, is say someone who is at home gathering clothes. Then the second scene, they're talking about him, about this character in the bus station. And the third scene, maybe he is in the other place that he wants to travel to. So this is the second difference. And if a short story بيكون عندنا بس a few scenes, okay, 2, 3, 4, not too much. So the characters are few, and the characters شخصيات أقل, وكمان scenes أقل. So far so good?
Yes, good.
Very good. So the form encourages economy of setting, consists of narrative. Setting I'll explain, but setting in general, it means the time of the story. Okay. Do you know what setting mean?
Setting إعدادات ولا
Yeah, إعدادات, exactly. But in writing, yes, إعدادات. لكن هنا في القصة مختلف. الsetting معناه the time of the story and the place of the story. Okay, time and place. So هذا من
الوقت والمكان.
Yes, المكان والزمان للصورة. يعني القصة في أي مكان تحدث، هل يعني in Istanbul, in Italy, in another country, on Mars, okay? And then time, it's happening. Is it happening in the past, or in the present, or maybe in the future? Okay, هذا هو setting. Next one consists of the omission of a complex plot. plot اللي هي الحبكة or the most important event. شيء مهم بيحدث بالقصة، وبعدين بنشوف الكاركتر كيف بيحل هذا الإشكال. اوكي، هذا a plot. complex plot يعني الحبكة أو الإشكالية الموجودة في القصة.
Okay.
Good. And then let's go continue. Southern fully developed despite its relativity limited scope, though a short story is not that important. This one also. Okay, this one is just going to distract you from the important things. So let's go back to this one. So the origins. So here, just a quick review, a quick look for the origins. And الأصل short story from where? So the evolution of the short story first began before humans could write. So a short story قبل يعني كانت يعني المعروفة إن المكتوبة short stories، لكن قبل also the people they used to use short stories, but they used to call it storyteller. يعني كان الأشخاص بيجلسوا مكان وبيحكوا قصص. So we call them short story now, but before they used to be called storyteller, the person who is telling us a story rather than writing on a piece of papers. They used to tell the story. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. So to aid in constructive and memorizing tales, the early storyteller often relied on stock phrases, fixed rhymes, and rhyme. Consequently, many of the oldest narratives in the world, such as the ancient Babylonian tale of epic of Gilgamesh, are in verse. Indeed, most major stories from the ancient Middle East were in verse. It's just examples of short stories. So for example, also we have حكاية ألف ليلة وليلة. So the whole story about this woman telling the king every night a different story. You know the story of ألف ليلة وليلة?
Yes.
Yeah, the same thing.
Yes,
so this one, yeah. So this used to be like a storyteller. يعني قصة قصيرة، لكن now we have like in written form, but before we used to tell the story. Good. Now the elements, the five
important.
Yes, important elements of the story. Can you please read these elements?
The 5 key elements that make up a short story are characters, setting, conflict, theme, plot.
Yes, plot. So we have characters, setting, conflict, theme, and plot. We're going to explain each one of them. Next one. So characters. Can you please read the definition of characters?
Characters is a person or sometimes an animal who takes part in the action of a short story or other literary work.
Very good. So a character is a person or sometimes an animal who takes part in an action of a short story or other literary work. So character يعني الشخصية بشكل عام.
الشخصية.
Yeah, the people are who are in the story. So sometimes it's a person, sometimes it's an animal. ممكن تكون قصة. Yes, ممكن تكون قصة عبارة عن dragons, for example, or both people and animals. Okay.
Yes.
Next one here, please.
Characters and how we get to know them through the authors.
Author والكاتب. Authors.
Yeah, authors. Physical description of them. Through their actions, through their words, dialogue. Through dialogue, through their inner thoughts, through what other characters say and think about them.
Very good. So characters and how we get to know them. So how do we know the characters? Because in the exam, for example, I'll give you a short story, inshallah. So, and you will, for example, tell you who are the most the main characters, for example. Okay, you have to write the names of the characters, the main characters. So how do you know who are the characters? So first, through the author's physical description of them. So in the story, you'll see that the author is describing the character. For example, you say like once upon a time, there was a tall man, tall man with short hair and big muscles and this and this and this. Okay?
Yes.
Describing, for example, if we're talking about a person, maybe describing an animal or a dragon. So he's describing the physical, how this character looks. Then through their actions, so what they do. So for example, say this character like wakes up at 7 in the morning and then go train and do this and do that. So through the actions. Then through their words, dialogue, for example, that character is having a conversation with other character. So we get to know يعني بنتعرف على هذا الشخصية من خلال محادثة. هذا الشخص بيتكلم مع شخص ثاني. Dialogue هي محادثة or conversation. Through their inner thoughts or maybe الأفكار الداخلية. ممكن الكاركتر, for example, he's thinking about doing this, is going about traveling somewhere. So about their inner thoughts, الأفكار الداخلية اللي عندهم. And last, through what other characters say and think about them. For example, we have many characters in the story. For example, we have 4 or 5 characters, and we have the main character is Ahmed, and we have other characters, for example, Lewis. So we know more about Ahmed from what Lewis says about him. Okay? فبنتعرف على أحمد من خلال كل الأمور اللي قالها الكاركتر الثاني عليه. So these, all of them, okay, we use them to identify character. Clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Setting. So setting, as we said, is the time and place. Can you please read this?
Setting is the time and place the story also
occurs.
Authors authors often use descriptions of landscape, scenery,
Scenery.
building,
Seasons.
or weather, seasons, or weather to provide a strong sense of setting.
Very good. So setting is the time and place that a story occurs. يعني اللي هي المكان والزمان
الوقت والزمان.
Exactly.
الزمان والمكان.
زمان والمكان اللي بيحصل فيها القصة. For example, إذا كان يا مكان في قديم الزمان. So the setting here, we already know that the story happens in the past. And then you talk about the place. For example, في صحراء بغداد. So Baghdad is the place. So all the time, in a story, we always must have a place and a story. The place of the story and the time of the story. Is it the past, or happening now, or in the future? Or maybe it could happen for both, like all of them, and start in the past, present, and then in the future. Authors often use descriptions of landscape. Landscape, and for example, like as a mountain or place, description, scenery, مشاهد. For example, the countryside or a waterfall, or all of these places, buildings, البيلدينز المباني, seasons or weather. Seasons هم الفصول. Okay? Weather to provide a strong sense of setting. So here, they use these. So sometimes they don't tell you, like most of the time, they don't tell, okay, this story is in the past. No, they use things. For example, when the author wants to let you know that the story happens, for example, while it's raining, for example, okay, he wants to tell you that the story is happening in the summer, for example. He's going to describe the weather. So it's good. Like today is very hot, or this week is very hot. It's been hot for maybe 3-4 weeks or a couple of months. So you know that this story is happening in the summer. Okay. Or for example, he's describing, okay, everywhere. Like I'm walking for 3 days and I can only see sand. So now he's giving you the place. The place is the desert. Okay, sometimes it's not very clear, but it gives description of either weather, scenery, like buildings, seasons, landscape. So عشان يعطيك تعرف هل المكان هو المكان اللي بيحدث فيه القصة, and also give you examples to know the time of the story. Sometimes it's clear. For example, we say once upon a time, يعني كان يا مكان. So it's clearly in the past. Sometimes it's very clear, sometimes it's not. You have to read the sentences or read the story and see from the sentences, from the descriptions. Okay? And ممكن in the exam, the same thing. The exam, sometimes, after, inshallah, tomorrow's lesson, we're going to read a story, a very short story, maybe 1 or 2 pages, and we're going to try and extract the characters. Okay, so tomorrow we're going to read the story, new story. We're going to take out the characters, the setting, the conflict, the theme, and the plot from the story. Because in the exam, the same thing. The exam is very simple. I'll give you a short story, maybe 1 page, and you try to find the character, the setting, conflict, theme, and plot. We're going to go one by one. So the character is very simple, is the people or animals in the story. Setting is the time and place of the story. Sometimes very easy to find. Sometimes you just need to read like very carefully, and you will find the place and time of the story. Clear? Any questions about the setting?
No.
Okay, good. Can you read this one, please? The first one.
Them or T? This one.
Theme. TH, most of the time it's th.
T.
Like ثاء المعجمة in Arabic.
Theme.
Theme.
Theme. Theme is the meaning behind events and characters' actions in a story.
In a story.
The
Continue.
theme is the central idea, message, or purpose in a short story.
So far so good. So هنا the theme is the meaning behind events and characters actions in a story. So theme يعني المغزى من هذه القصة. For example, we're talking about a person, for example, who is doing good and stopping people from stealing or these things. So behind the events يعني ممكن الفكرة وراء الأحداث أو الشخصية. For example, الشخصية الأساسية. For example, let's take a story. For example, like Robin Hood. You know the story of Robin Hood?
Yes.
Okay. So Robin Hood takes the money from the rich people and give to the poor people. So the theme is helping people. So يعني الفكرة الأساسية من القصة أو المسج رسالة من هذه القصة. يعني لما تخلص القصة شو هي الرسالة اللي راح تستفيد من القصة. So the theme is the central idea or message or purpose in the short story. Clear?
Yes, clear.
Okay, good. Can you continue this one, please? A theme?
A theme can be expressed as a general statement about people or life.
Continue.
It's not plot summary. It can be either directly or indirectly stated by the other, most likely indirectly.
Indirectly, very good. So a theme can be expressed as a general statement about people or life. So ممكن الثيم in one sentence, like ممكن مش هي it's not a summary. هي مش يعني مش ليست ملخص للقصة. No. هي بس الفكرة الأساسية من القصة. So because there's a difference between plot and theme. Plot and theme are very different. Similar, they're similar in some way, but different in other way. So theme is the general idea يعني الفكرة الأساسية أو الرسالة من القصة. لما تخلص القصة شو تستفيد من القصة؟ شو المسج behind the story or behind the event الأحداث اللي حدثت في القصة شو هي الفكرة الأساسية منها أو شو المستفاد منها. This is the theme. Plot is completely different. I will explain the plot later on. So, do you have any questions about theme?
No.
Okay, so far, so we had characters, setting, and theme so far. Okay, so let's have a break. We're gonna have maybe 5-10 minutes break, and we continue later on. تمام?
تمام.
Okay, I'll send you the new link in maybe 5 minutes. Okay. Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Very good. Now let's resume our lesson. So far, so good. So we studied the elements of the story. So can you remind me the first 3 elements we studied so far?
Conflict يعني من البداية start.
So what are the elements that we studied? شو هم العناصر اللي درسناهم لحد الساعة؟ We studied three elements. First one is
characters. Setting.
Third one is
theme.
Characters اللي هم الشخصيات. Number 2 setting, time and place. Okay, and then theme, which is the idea of the story, the idea behind the events of the story or the message of the story.
And characters.
Clear?
Yeah. Clear.
Okay. Now moving on to the conflicts. Can you please read the definition?
Conflict is any of the problems that characters encounters in a story.
Mhm.
The conflict is struggle between two people or things in a short story. The main character is on one side of the main conflict.
Mhm. Correct. So let's explain. So conflict is any of the problems that a character encounters in the story. So can you explain, please? Mhm. What do you think this means? So what is a conflict? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so can you explain what do you think it means, conflict? من هذه definition, what do you think it means? You can explain in English or Arabic, no problem.
conflict problems يعني هي المشاكل اللي تواجهها الشخصية.
Very good.
Problems that are
Very good. Yeah, the problem that the character face in the story. So any problems that this character, the main character, or other characters face in the story. Very good. All the problems. So the conflict is a struggle between two people or things in a short story. هذا الكونفليكت بيكون يعني معاناة أو خصام أو جدال أو any kind of problem. Yes. Or things.
من الشخصيات.
Yes, very good. Between two people, four people, between the characters of the story. So in general, so conflict is problem between the characters of the short story. يعني كتلخيص. So the main character is on one side of the main conflict. So this is very important. So in any story, دائما we have main character and we have characters, normal characters. Okay, the main character يعني الشخصية الأساسية أو الشخصية الرئيسية. Okay, and we have yeah. So when we say conflict يعني دائما الكونفليكت when we say the conflict is this. So يعني هذا الكونفليكت ضروري يكون عشان نسميه conflict لازم يكون المين كاركتر هو اللي عنده هذا المشكلة. Okay, for example, we have a story about Sindibad. Okay, and we have a problem. Okay, someone stole some money. So if someone stole the money from Sindibad, okay, we can call this a conflict. Okay, this is the problem. But if that person stole money from someone else, it's not a conflict because it's not from the main character. So we call a conflict when we have a struggle between the main character يعني الشخصية الرئيسية and other characters of the story. Okay? Okay. هذا conflict, it could be internal or external. So internal يعني داخلي.
داخل القصة خارجي.
No, external خارجي وداخلي. So conflict.
خارجي وداخلي.
Yes. So external conflict with others and with nature. يعني ممكن this main character عنده مشاكل مع شخصيات تانية. They fighting, maybe stole his money or anything, like any kind of problem, أي نوع من المشاكل. This is called external. يعني the main character with
خارج.
Yeah, خارجي. ممكن with the nature, with other people, with animals. It's an external conflict. And we have internal داخلي. So conflict within themselves. ممكن صراع داخلي مع نفسه وعنده مشاكل نفسية. Exactly. Very good. So this is the difference between external. What does external mean? External.
خارجي.
Exactly. Internal.
داخلي.
Exactly. Very good. So external, we said the main character has a problem with other characters, but internal, the main character has a problem with themselves. Okay? Good.
Themselves.
Yeah. The main character may struggle. So here we have some examples of the struggle. Struggle يعني المعاناة. Okay? So against another important character, يعني عندنا the main character ممكن يكون عنده صراع أو جدال أو conflict or a problem with other important character. ممكن in the story sometimes we can have two main stories, two main characters or 3 or 4 main characters الشخصيات الرئيسية بيكون عندنا شخصيات إضافية أو شخصيات عادية. Sometimes we have this struggle or conflict. It's between the main characters, maybe 2 or 3 between them, against the focuses of nature. ممكن مع الطبيعة nature against society المشاكل اللي في المجتمع مثل الفساد or any kind of societal problems against something inside himself. This is as we call
بداخله
yes
feeling
internal. Yes, feelings,
مشاعر
emotion, illness. Perfect, exactly. So all of these هذا كله ممكن نعتبرهم external or internal. Okay, let's have this one. So we have these first problems, and also we have, let's draw a different color. We have this one also. So which one is external, which one is internal?
internal هي against something inside himself.
هذه
هذه
internal.
internal.
So
external is another
very
important character.
Exactly. So all of these are exact. So in the exam, I'll give you something like this. I'll give you maybe some problems, for example, like this, and you have to figure out. You have to find, is it external or internal? Yes, exactly. So external, for example, we have against another important character, against nature, against society, against other people, against maybe other
But
animals.
internal is
Yes.
himself.
Themselves. Yes. Feelings, emotions, illness, you have like maybe sick. So all of these are very, very important. So far, so good. Do you have any questions in this part?
No.
Good. Plot. Plot, this one is very simple. So first, can you please read the definition?
Plot. A plot is a pattern of events that develop from the interaction between characters. A plot is a series of events and the characters' actions that relate to the central conflict. There are 5 elements of plot: exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, conclusion.
Yes. Plot is a pattern of events that develop from interactions between characters. So plot in general هي الحبكة. What does it mean? It means the pattern of events. وعندنا أحداث أو تراتبية الأحداث. Okay. بتكون هذا الحدث. For example, someone like waking up in the morning, having breakfast, then going to work. From work, you go into like all the little actions that come together to form the whole story. يعني هذه الأحداث اللي بتكون على تراتبية معينة. Okay. And وتفاعلات كمان تفاعلاتهم مع الشخصيات الثانية. All of these we call them plot. So plot is the pattern of events الأحداث that develop from interactions between characters. هذه الأحداث اللي بتصير من خلال تفاعلات أوكي أو تعامل مع شخصيات ثانية. تمام؟
المؤامرة اللي هي تصير بين الأحداث والشخصيات.
Exact. الأحداث والشخصيات. So a plot is a series of events. هي أحداث متسلسلة. Not only one or two. So along the story. مش بس في بداية القصة أو وسط القصة أو نهاية القصة. هي مجموعة من الأحداث. أوكي. بتساعد على تطوير القصة. عشان تأخذ في آخر القصة بتأخذ فكرة مجملة عن القصة. So a series of events and characters actions, the character actions that relate to the central conflict. For example, all the events and جميع الأحداث اللي بتاخذنا طريق هذه الفكرة.
بصراع مركزي.
يس، هذا الصراع
يعني
المركزي.
بصراع.
نعم، عندنا صراع فور اكزامبل، الصراع ما بين الخير والشر. في خلال
Yeah.
هذه القصة حيكون في أحداث كثيرة، مش حيكون عندنا بس حدث واحد في القصة كلها، لا، حيكون في حدث أول أن هذا الشخص راح لهذا المكان، ويعني الطرف الثاني يعني الأشرار راحوا لهذا المكان وسووا هيك وسووا هذا الفعل وسووا ده، والتقوا في وسط القصة وعملوا هيك وعملوا هيك. فكل هذه الايفنتس، اوكي، اللي بيسويها الكاركترز، سواء المين كاركترز or the supporting characters, all of them, okay, they help to develop the general idea of the plot. So all we call them plot, all the events، كل هذه الأحداث اللي بتشكل القصة we call them plot. So these, okay, there are 5 elements of plot. So the plots, to form a plot we have 5 elements. The first one, exposition, raising action, climax, falling action, and conclusion. Okay? So, for example, exposition. What do you mean by exposition?
صراع.
No. It has
الشرح.
it's something like that. Yeah. Exposition is like the first events، الأحداث الرئيسية اللي تفتح تبدأ القصة أو تفتتح القصة. Okay? And we have raising action، يعني الأحداث look, we have like, it's like a triangle, so it's going upward from here, it's going this way, okay, this way, and then after that it will go down, falling action. Yes. So first one is very simple. We start with exposition. So here, like in this stage, so الأحداث الافتتاحية, so all the things that starting the story. Then we have raising action. Okay, raising action هم الأحداث بتكون أكثر حدة، بتكون في الوسط، بتكون in the middle حدتها. Then we have the climax. The climax is the top. Okay, the most important لما توصل الأحداث لقمة الإثارة. Okay, for example, there's a story about people stealing money from the bank. Okay, so the first one, let's write one by one. So let's say the first one is here, the exposition. So we're talking about people who are planning to steal the bank. Okay, so it's here. So people are planning to steal the bank. They are studying the bank, the entrance, how they're gonna going to go inside the bank and outside the bank. How if the police are trying to catch them, how they're going to escape. So all of these are exposition. Then raising action. So we're talking about raising action is these people are going to the bank. Okay, they're going to the bank and stealing the money. Okay, so the climax here, they got the money, but they were surrounded by police. So يعني قمة الإثارة في القصة. So هنا قمة الأحداث. So here they have the money. All like these thieves got the money. They have the money. They are here. They have all the money. They're stealing the money, and as they're trying to leave the bank, the police came and tried to catch them. So what happens next? So they escape. So after when they escape, so we go to the second, the falling action. Okay, we're going now the action to go less and less intense, أقل حدة, and at the end we have the conclusion. Conclusion, what do you mean by conclusion?
الخاتمة.
الخاتمة أو ملخصية، خاتمة.
النهاية.
Yes, النهاية. Very good. So do you understand this one? The plot is very, very simple.
Yes.
Yeah. So first we'll start with exposition, and it has to be in this order. لازم بيكون بهي الترتيب. And we cannot start with conclusion. Okay, we cannot start with conclusion, then we go to climax, then go to raising action. Then we
Yes.
finish with
Project.
So
Step by step.
So which one is first?
Exposition,
Number
raising
2.
action,
Yes. 3.
filling action, conclude.
Very good. Conclusion. So maybe in the exam also, I'll give these ones, these words, these elements, and then you'll be asked maybe to put them in the correct spot. For example, exposition, maybe you'll write it's this way. Raising action, you would do, for example, like this, raising action. Then we have climax. Climax, you can draw, it's here. Then falling action, you can draw like this, it's going down. And conclusion, very, very simple.
Conclude.
Good. So far, so good. So here the plot diagram. So here, like this one that we explained here in details. Okay. So this one, introduction. So introduction هي المقدمة.
مقدمة.
Yeah, this one, exposition or introduction are the same thing. So we have raising action. You see, raising action. يعني الأحداث، يعني الانتنسيتي، حدة الأحداث بتكون تتسارع. And then the climax يعني أكبر حدث, the most important event، أكبر حدث بيكون في هنا في الكلايماكس. وبعدين هنا ينزل الأحداث falling action. And at the end is resolution or conclusion. Okay, resolution or conclusion means يعني حل للمشكل. So climax هنا بيكون يعني الإشكال الموجود or the problem. And after we solve the problem, the events go smoothly, falling action. Then the last one is resolution or conclusion. Clear?
Yes.
Good. Here we explain one by one. So exposition, the start or introduction of the story. Exposition, the very beginning of the story. The background information that the reader must have in order to understand the story. This is where characters and setting are introduced. And if exposition هي اللي we will find the setting. يعني دائما بيكون الsetting في أول القصة. So for example, كان يا كان في قديم الزمان في قرية بعيدة في بغداد, something like this. So the exposition, we find the setting. So for example, once upon a time in a faraway land. So here we have the setting, the place and the time. So once upon a time, it means like very far away, very far in the past. Okay, and then you see the place. Is it clear? Exposition is like an introduction, like the essay we studied. Like essay, we have introduction, body, and conclusion. So the exposition is like the introduction, مثل المقدمة. Is that clear?
Yes.
Good.
Exposition يعني introduction story.
Yes, introduction. Exposition, the same thing. It means like, for example, introduction أو بداية القصة أو مقدمة. The start or introducing of the story. The background information that the reader must have in order to understand the story. يعني لازم عشان أفهم القصة لازم أعرف بداية القصة. مش ممكن إنسان يجي يعني ويشرح لك يحكي لك قصة مش من أولها من نص القصة.
Yes.
Okay. So for example, it's very normal. For example, when you're talking to your friend, for example, and you want to tell her something happened at work. So هتحكيها من بداية القصة أو من وسط القصة أو من آخر القصة.
Yeah, من start. البداية.
من البداية. So because if you start from the middle, maybe she will not understand the whole story. So the same thing. So we start from the exposition. Exposition is the very start of the story. It has a setting and the setting, place, and time of the story. Raising action. So all of the events, can you please read This one?
All of the events that take place leading up to the climax.
Mhm.
This is where the reader and the introduce it to the conflict.
So all of the events that take place leading up to the climax, يعني raising action, جميع الأحداث okay that takes you جميع الأحداث اللي بتاخدك للكلايماكس للكلايماكس. الكلايماكس يعني هو the most important event in the story، يعني أهم الأحداث أو بيكون فيه الintensity شدة the intensity of the story. For example, like the story I told you about the thieves that went to the bank to steal the money. So the climax of the story is when these people stole the money, but they're trying to leave the bank, and the police came to the bank to catch them. So that's the climax. يعني كل الأحداث اللي تاخد كل الأحداث لهذا البوينت اللي هي الكلايماكس. So all of the events raising action, it means all the actions or all the events, all the things that are happening that are leading to the climax. For example, like the example of the thieves going to steal the money from the bank. So the raising actions are they're preparing. So these people are preparing to steal the bank. They are studying the entrance, where the cameras are. They're trying to. They got a car. They are training how to escape. So all of these events are called raising action. And the climax is when they were in the bank and the police trying to catch them. So this is where the reader is introduced to the conflicts. So raising action, هنا في هذه raising action you know the problem or the conflict. So because when you see this event happen and then there's another event happening, so you can see what is happening next. Okay, so for example, when you talking about, for example, the same example that we have about these people are trying to steal the bank. So when we see that there's people are training to steal the bank, they are taking pictures of the bank. Some people are training, like driving the car so fast so they escape after they steal the bank. So all of these events are leading to the climax and also leading to introduce the conflict. So you know the conflict is stealing the bank. Is that clear?
Yes.
Good. Next one. Climax. Climax is very, very, very simple. So the most exciting part of the story. يعني أكثر حدث في إثارة في القصة. Okay? The turning point of the story. يعني القصة بتكون نعم. So everything changes in the climax. So in the climax nothing stays the same. كل الأمور بتتغير لما نوصل للكلايماكس، يعني أعلى نقطة في هذه القصة or the most exciting، يعني أكثر الوقت في إثارة في القصة. Here the story is turned in a different direction toward the conclusion. يعني هنا لما نوصل للقمة, for example, it's like the mountain. We're going up the mountain. When we reach the top, لما نوصل لآخر مكان أو قمة الجبل. So yeah, the climax. Exactly the same way. نفس الطريقة للأحداث. So الأحداث في القصة بتكون غادية يعني ماشية من الأحداث طبيعية عادية، وشوية بتكون شوية إثارة. لما نوصل للقصة للقمة بتكون الأحداث مثيرة جدا. بعدها لما بيحصل فالإثارة بتقل ونروح للconclusion which is the end. Okay, clear. Falling action. Can you please read this?
Falling action. The immediate reaction to the climax all the actions that occur after the climax and before the conclusion of the story.
Yes, exactly. Following action, so the immediate reaction to the climax. So it means يعني immediate يعني الفوري. Reaction ردة الفعل الفورية للclimax. So
فورية.
yes, exact. For example, you see this one. This is like a picture of someone falling from the mountain. So here we have this one is up the mountain. So the immediate reaction يعني رد الفعل اللي بعده يعني يقفز الوقوع يقفز من the mountain and start falling. So the immediate reaction to the climax. So falling action. So العكس. So from, let's go back here. So you see, so here we go up. We're going up. We're going up this way. And now falling action.
Climax with the conclusion.
Exactly. But the only difference, if you see the only difference here, هذا okay, the raising action, it takes time, okay? But this one is very fast. You see, it's different. The change is very, very sudden. يعني التغيير بيكون مفاجئ وسريع. And the events are very, very fast to the conclusion, للنهاية. All the actions that occur after the climax and before the conclusion of the story. So following actions هي كل الأحداث اللي بتحدث بعد الكلايماكس.
بعد الإثارة الكلايمكس.
Very good.
وقبل الكونكلوجن قبل النهاية.
نعم، كل هذه الأحداث اللي بتوقع بعد الكلايماكس ويعني وعلى طول القصة للنهاية. Okay, all that can before the conclusion of the story. Very good, excellent. Resolution is the last part. Okay, resolution. The conclusion. Can you read this one, please?
Resolution. The conclusion of the plot. Losing ends are tied up. There might not be clear resolution. This is called cliffhanger ending.
Cliffhanger ending.
Cliffhanger.
Yeah. So resolution يعني ممكن الحل المشكلة. Okay, resolution or the end. So the conclusion of the plot يعني نهاية أو القصة أو خاتمة. Loose ends are tied up. يعني كل الأحداث بتكون منتهية المراحل، بتكون هذه المرحلة يعني سووا هذه الأمور كلها، وفي آخر شيء you know the end يعني بتعرف شو حصل في الآخر، يعني مش تكون يعني النهاية مبهمة. So there might not be a clear resolution. This is called a cliffhanger ending. So here we have two types of resolution. We have resolution that عندنا الأحداث فيها نهاية واضحة. Okay, for example, these thieves went to the bank and they got the money and they ran away and the police could not catch them. هذه بتكون so all loose ends are نهاية مفتوحة. Also, or you can say maybe after maybe 2 years or 1 year, the police will catch them. They will find them because the police will keep looking for them. But if we say that okay, the police caught the thieves, they were still like they went out the bank and then the police were chasing them for a few hours and then they caught them and they put them in jail. So here we have clear ending. So if we don't have clear ending, we called it cliffhanger ending. Cliffhanger ending, most of the time, they do this if we want to have another part of the story. Because just most of the time, not all the time, لكن بعض الأحيان they do this. They don't give you a clear ending because they want to do another part of the story. Is that clear? Okay.
Yes.
Good. So now let's have just a quick revision about these and we can end the lesson. So we have 5 elements of the story. So characters, setting, conflict, theme, and plot. So can you please explain to me these? And if you don't understand anything, let me know. I will explain. Okay. So characters. What are the characters of a story?
الكاركترز هي الشخصيات القصة.
شخصيات القصة. Characters can be who? Can be people or something else?
People.
And?
People or sometimes animal.
Yes, very good. Setting. Can you explain the setting, please?
Setting اللي time and place اللي هي زمان والمكان.
Yes, very good. زمان ومكان of what?
Story.
Yes, or the story. Yes, or the events of the story. Correct. Conflict.
Conflict mean the problems للcharacters. يعني البروبلمز.
Yes, all the problems.
يعني
very
بتكون
good.
between يعني للشخص نفسه أو other people.
Very good.
External or internal.
Very good. Give me example of external. External conflict. Like?
Conflict with other people.
Yes, very good. Character with other character. Very good. This is external. Now give me example of internal conflict.
Internally or himself or herself.
Very good.
Feeling.
Excellent.
Tired.
Perfect. Now theme. What do you mean by theme?
Theme يعني هي central idea.
Yes, very good. Central idea or the message of the story. Very
or
good.
The message, yes.
Very good. Last one, plot.
Plot.
And plot, we have 5 elements as well. But
the interaction between the characters.
So, and plot we have 5.
بتكون فيها 5 elements اللي هي.
Very good. Try to find them. Yeah.
بداية القصة.
Very good. Exposition. بداية القصة.
Exposition والracing action والclimax والfeeling action والconclusion.
Conclusion. Very good. So, في raising an introduction يعني الأحداث الأولية. Raising action كل الأحداث اللي تعطينا الكلايماكس. والكلايماكس is the most intense or most exciting event of the story. وبعد الكلايماكس what do we have?
clicks بعدين
climax is the yeah here.
Yes.
After climax
اللي هي direction للconclusion يعني.
Yeah, after
يعني
climax we have
حتكون متجهة للأسفل يعني نهاية القصة.
Very good. Conclusion is the end of the story. Very good. So far, so good. So, do you have any questions about any of these, like the elements of the story or elements of plot? I can explain.
No.
Good.
No.
Good. So tomorrow, inshallah, we're going to read a story. Okay? And this story, I think it's already.
ممكن نأجلها مثلا tomorrow لأنه يعني ممكن ما نكونش في البيت أنا tomorrow.
Okay, tomorrow I will send the link. If you can join, we can join. If not, we can do another one inshallah. We can rearrange. نعمل حصة تانية للتعويض إن شاء الله. Anyway, I will send the story. أنا حبعتها بالجروب عشان تحاول تقريها بالبيت. So tomorrow we can read it together inshallah.
Okay, تمام.
Inshallah. See you tomorrow inshallah.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.